Did you believe in God? Oh yes. Do you still believe in God? That's harder to say now. I know I need him. I don't need to believe, I just know. Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who charted a distinctive and deeply influential course in psychology. Born in 1875 in Kessel, Switzerland, Jung grew up surrounded by religious influence from his father, who was a pastor, alongside an environment rich in intellectual curiosity. This mix of spirituality and scholarly interest laid the groundwork for his revolutionary ideas. Jung is best recognized as the founder of analytical psychology, a framework that broke away from the theories of his peer, Sigmund Freud. Freud's focus was on the unconscious as a storage of repressed desires, especially sexual ones, whereas Jung saw the unconscious as broader and more intricate. He introduced ideas such as the collective unconscious and archetypes, universal symbols, and themes that shape human experience and link people to common patterns of thought across cultures and history. Jung's study of the human mind extended beyond conventional psychology. He immersed himself in exploring how psychology intersects with spirituality, convinced that genuine healing requires more than just rational examination. As he famously stated, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who gazes outward, dreams. Who ventures inward, awakens." This somber reflection echoes Jung's conviction that true personal growth and spiritual fulfillment arise from a painful journey inward, a deep self-awareness that often reveals unsettling truths. His exploration of spirituality became inseparable from his idea of individuation, a lonely path toward becoming whole by embracing both the conscious and the shadowy depths of the unconscious. This odyssey is not merely psychological, but profoundly spiritual. Yet it carries with it the weight of confronting the unknown within ourselves. Through the symbols embedded in myths, dreams, and religious images, people catch fleeting glimpses of the hidden recesses of their psyche, momentarily touching a purpose and meaning that quietly evade everyday life. Yet, Jung mourned the modern estrangement from spirituality, sensing it had left many adrift, burdened by unseen psychological wounds. In Modern Man in Search of a Soul, he painted a stark picture of spiritual desolation transforming into neurosis, a haunting reflection that still echoes painfully in our time. Among Jung's most profound legacies is the idea of the collective unconscious, a vast, shadowy well of shared memory, an experience that transcends individual lives yet remains largely uncharted and mysterious. It binds humanity in silent resonance, a communal inheritance that everyone carries but few truly understand, underscoring the solitude threaded through our common existence. Jung spoke of the collective unconscious as a shadowy psychic inheritance, a dark reservoir lurking beneath the surface of individual thought. It harbors remnants of ancestral memories, primal urges, and elemental human experiences, whispers from times long past that silently shape our perception of reality. These hidden forces are not forged by the personal mind, but are universal, surfacing through what Jung ominously named archetypes. These archetypes are ancient, built-in templates that quietly steer human thought, emotion, and behavior. Among the key figures Jung revealed are the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, and the mother, archetypal phantoms haunting myths, legends, and religious rites across distant cultures and forgotten epochs, revealing their relentless sway. The hero's journey, embodied by figures like Hercules, King Arthur, and even modern saviors like Luke Skywalker, echoes endlessly, a spectral pattern of struggle, sacrifice, and ascent to something beyond mere mortals. Jung saw the collective unconscious as a cryptic blueprint for all human experience, an unseen architecture that molds how we interpret events, connect with others, and decode symbols appearing in dreams, art, and myth. It is a dormant spiritual inheritance, the ghostly residue of mankind's evolution, reborn quietly within the neural labyrinth of every person. For Jung, to breach this hidden domain is to delve into a spiritual abyss, a dark communion where one might break free from the narrow confines of self and touch a deeper, more unsettling plane of awareness. In doing so, they touch upon a higher spiritual reality where the lines between the self and the collective, between the human and the divine, begin to fade away. Jung viewed the collective unconscious as a fragile bridge linking psychology and spirituality. He suggested that religious experiences, symbols, and myths are fragile expressions of this shared unseen realm. They offer individuals a fleeting sense of belonging to something larger than themselves, bringing fragile threads of meaning to their often fragmented lives. As Jung expressed, Humanity's burden is to become aware of the hidden contents rising from the unconscious depths. The collective unconscious is more than a psychological idea. It's a somber key to understanding the fragile spiritual core of humanity. It quietly reminds us that, despite the seeming chasms between us, we all share a profound, often unnoticed interconnection to each other and to the archetypal forces silently guiding human existence. Central to Jung's concept of the collective unconscious are archetypes, universal symbols shaping our thoughts, behaviors, and experiences. These archetypes are not just mere notions, but potent forces embedded deep within the psyche, quietly influencing everything from dreams to myths, religious tales, and personal stories. They are the subtle foundations of our human experience. Among these familiar archetypes, the hero, the mother, the wise old man, each stands as a symbol of different human struggles and hopes, casting long shadows over our collective life. The hero archetype, for example, represents the path of personal development and surmounting obstacles, commonly portrayed in tales of notable warriors, explorers, or individuals pursuing a higher cause. This archetype captures our yearning for meaning, bravery, and transformation, illustrated by figures ranging from ancient myths like Hercules to contemporary heroes such as Harry Potter. These archetypes extend beyond storytelling. Jung argued they are psychological realities shaping how we understand and engage with the world. By becoming aware of and integrating these symbols into our conscious mind, people can gain profound insights into their own lives and unlock dormant potential. Described an archetype as an ancient river through which the water of life has flowed for centuries, creating a deep channel. The stronger and more successful the archetype, the deeper the channel, making it more likely for life's flow to follow that path again. Additionally, Jung viewed archetypes as spiritual pathways, believing that by grasping these universal symbols, individuals connect with deeper spiritual truths. For instance, the hero archetype goes beyond just physical trials. It embodies the spiritual journey of self-discovery and transcendence. The passage highlights the internal battle we face as we confront our fears, overcome our weaknesses, and ultimately elevate our consciousness to a higher level. Likewise, the wise old man symbolizes more than just worldly wisdom, embodying a profound link to divine insight and enlightenment. In this way, archetypes act as a connection between the human and the divine realms. They function not only as psychological frameworks, but also as spiritual symbols pointing towards something beyond ordinary experience. Jung proposed that many religious and spiritual traditions are grounded in archetypal imagery. From the Virgin Mary as the quintessential mother figure to the Buddha, representing the wise old man, these archetypal figures guide individuals in unraveling the mysteries of existence and understanding their place within it. For Jung, studying archetypes extended beyond the mind's workings to exploring life's spiritual facets. He considered these universal symbols vital to the process of individuation, the personal journey towards self-awareness and completeness. By engaging with the archetypes within ourselves, we open doors to spiritual growth and gain a richer comprehension of the universe and our role in it. Ultimately, archetypes serve as pathways to spiritual wisdom, helping us navigate the complexities of human life and our quest for meaning, purpose, and connection. Central to Carl Jung's psychological framework is individuation, a lifelong process of self-discovery and the integration of unconscious aspects into the conscious self. Jung spoke of individuation as the deeply personal, yet often lonely path toward becoming a fully realized individual, someone who is both separate from the world and intricately intertwined with it. This journey asks a lot, not only to come to terms with the many facets of oneself, but also to face the uneasy reconciliation between the conscious mind and the darker, unconscious depths. According to Jung, much of our inner turmoil stems from this fracture within, the painful split between the public mask we wear to navigate society and the concealed, shadowy parts we keep buried. Individuation means coaxing those hidden pieces into the light, trying to stitch together a fragile balance between who we show the world and who we are beneath the surface. Yet, this is no easy path. It forces us to confront our shadow, the parts laden with fears, failings, and vulnerabilities we prefer to ignore. This shadow, often the birthplace of our pain, also holds seeds of unseen potential and creativity. But embracing it demands courage, a willingness to stare at the parts of ourselves we might rather flee from, transforming them into a truer, though often heavier, version of what we might have hoped to be. Alongside the struggle lies the recognition of archetypes dwelling within us. timeless, universal figures from the collective unconscious that shape our understanding of life and self. We try to integrate these patterns, the hero, the mother, the wise elder, not as guides who ease the journey, but as echoes whose meanings can feel both familiar and painfully distant. The process of individuation, then, is a quiet, often sorrowful voyage toward a fragile harmony between who we seem and who we are, marked by the shadows we can never fully As people move along the path of individuation, they approach a state of wholeness where the conscious and unconscious parts of the mind function in harmony. This union fosters not only psychological well-being, but also spiritual development. Jung considered individuation to be a deeply spiritual journey, one that involves connecting with the self, the entirety of our being, which he viewed as a reflection of the divine within each person. According to Jung, achieving individuation brings a stronger sense of life's purpose and meaning. It is a process of becoming whole, not just as an individual, but in relation to the universe. Thus, individuation represents a way to connect with the divine by transcending the ego's limits and aligning with a higher spiritual reality. Jung described individuation as the process through which a person attains indivisible wholeness, fully realizing the uniqueness of their being. Through this journey, we reveal our deepest self by integrating all parts of our nature, the conscious mind, the hidden shadow, and the archetypal symbols that influence our existence. In the shadowy realm of individuation, a harrowing journey unfolds, one that drags the soul through dark psychological abysses and spiritual chasms, ultimately forging a twisted form of wholeness. This process compels us to confront the unsettling truths lurking beneath our surface, aligning us with both our hidden selves and the inscrutable, ancient forces that govern existence. For Carl Jung, religion was no mere set of hollow dogmas or mindless rites. It was a primal vein pulsing with the raw essence of human psyche and spirit, entwined inextricably with our descent into madness and enlightenment alike. Unlike the dismissive contemporaries who sneered at faith as superstition or social chains, Jung recognized spiritual traditions as eerie gateways to the unconscious realm, the dark underbelly where archetypes stir and ancient terrors dwell. Through the symbols, myths, and rituals woven into religious fabric, Jung glimpsed the collective unconscious as a shadowy abyss filled with monstrous truths, a murky mirror reflecting the fractured human soul. The cross, the mandala, the yin and yang, each emblem is no casual ornament, but an archetypal sigil, born of the collective nightmarish dreamscape shared by all humanity. These figures embody primordial truths that defy culture, whispering secrets from the most unfathomable depths of the psyche. Thus, holy myths and apocalyptic tales are not mere stories in the dust of history. They are grim echoes of eternal psychological horrors and revelations. Jung saw myths as the shadow language of the soul, a cryptic dialogue with the unconscious where light and darkness conspire. Consider the Christ crucifixion and resurrection, a saga drenched in agony and dread, a descent into death and the abyss, followed by an uncanny rebirth. It is a spectral narrative reflecting the soul's torment and haunting transformation through suffering, death, and unholy rebirth into something other, something darker yet whole. To Jung, the story was far more than a cornerstone of Christian theology. It was an archetype etched deeply into the human psyche, a haunting cycle of death and rebirth, much like the shadow transformation one undergoes when confronting the abyss. Personal suffering, the journey into darkness, with all its whispered terrors, only to claw back into the fragile light of new life, unfolds as a sinister metaphor for individuation, the painstaking, often agonizing pursuit of wholeness and self-recognition. Jung saw religious myths not merely as tales, but as cryptic maps that lead through the darkest corridors of the soul, guiding one through life's most harrowing trials. Though he acknowledged the power of traditional religious institutions, Jung placed far more weight on the solitary spirit's descent into the numinous abyss, the mysterious, awe-inspiring force lurking just beyond the veil of the tangible. For him, the divine was not shackled by rigid doctrine, but was a personal, often unsettling encounter with the vast unknown. These moments of spiritual insight could seize the self, dragging it into connection with a reality unfathomably greater and stranger than mundane existence. Religion and spirituality were, in Jung's eyes, not acts of blind obedience but ventures into the dark underground of the unconscious, where symbols slither and shift, waiting to be deciphered and woven into conscious life. He urged each seeker to brave their own spiritual depths, to draw from an ancient, shadowed well of wisdom that pulses beneath the surface of ordinary reality, where light and dark entwine inseparably. This was no gentle path. Only those willing to confront their inner phantoms might glimpse the eerie radiance of true selfhood. He beckoned souls to wander through their own shadowy spiritual paths, urging them to draw from the deep, ancient wellsprings of religious myths and symbols, dark reservoirs where meaning simmers beneath the surface of waking life. This approach twisted spirituality into something mutable and deeply personal, capable of bending with the ominous insights of modern psychology, yet still clutching the eerie, time-worn wisdom of forgotten faiths. Jung's vision of religion was not shackled to any singular creed, but was an unyielding descent into the universal abyss of the human spirit. He believed that every religious tradition, no matter how cloaked in light, whispered the same shadowed truths at their core: the inevitability of death, the agony of suffering, and the terrifying promise of transcendence. Through the exploration of their arcane symbols, individuals could pry open the crypts of their own psyches, unleashing a transformation both personal and spiritual, though fraught with unknown terrors. In essence, Jung perceived religion as a fragile bridge trembling above the abyss, connecting the conscious mind with the unfathomable unconscious, and the individual with something far beyond comprehension, something divine yet dreadfully dark. He insisted that true understanding stems from the torturous, solitary experience of this spiritual descent. In his chilling words, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases." For Jung, spirituality was never about blind conformity, but about navigating the labyrinthine shadows to uncover one's own unique, haunting path to the sacred. His legacy, carved deep into the psyche and spirit, forever changed our perception of the human mind and its tenuous connection to the unknowable void that looms beneath existence. Carl Jung, the architect of analytical psychology, unearthed unsettling truths buried deep within the human psyche. Concepts like the collective unconscious, archetypes, and the shadowy process of individuation. His insights didn't merely reshape psychotherapy. They opened doorways to the dark recesses of the soul, where ancient primordial forces stir unseen. Beyond clinical practice, his ideas seeped into spiritual realms, coaxing seekers to confront the terrifying ties between self and the unknowable divine. Jung's vision of healing was never just about mending the mind's fractures, but about confronting the sinister and fragmented corners of the inner world, merging light with shadow in an uneasy balance. He warned that true psychological wholeness demands an uneasy alliance between conscious awareness and the creeping undercurrents lurking in the unconscious. It's this uneasy balance that modern therapy aims to harness, not just patch over symptoms but delve into the abyss. Jung's revelations about the shadow, archetypes, and dreams compel therapists and patients alike to probe beneath the surface, into the darkness that festers there. What haunts Jung's legacy most profoundly is his embrace of the spiritual dimension, the part of us that many gladly forsake, yet which clutches humanity in its mysterious grip. At a time when faith waned, Jung insisted that spirituality remains an indelible part of the human psyche, riddled with enigmatic symbols and myths that whisper forbidden truths about the individual and the collective unknown. His work is a chilling reminder that growth and self-understanding cannot sever their umbilical cord from spiritual awakening, that in peering into ourselves, we are forced to reckon with the divine specter lurking beyond. Above all, Jung urged the brave to embark on a personal odyssey into the shadowy depths of self-realization. For each journey is unique, an encounter with darkness that promises no easy salvation. His ideas have found resonance not only among psychologists, but also within disciplines like philosophy, religion, art, and literature. Jung envisioned the psyche as a complex, interconnected system that mirrors universal truths, inspiring those who seek a deeper grasp of the human experience. Additionally, his work highlights the close relationship between psychology and spirituality. Jung held that fully comprehending the mind requires embracing the mysteries of the soul, believing that healing arises not just from intellectual insight, but also from spiritual understanding. His concepts encourage us to delve into the depths of the unconscious, while also reaching toward our spiritual potential, portraying human life as a continual journey of growth, transformation, and connection to something beyond ourselves. In essence, Jung's legacy invites us to introspect, engage with the unseen parts of our being, and explore the spiritual forces influencing our existence. His impact is evident in contemporary approaches to mental health, spirituality, and the quest for meaning in a complex world. Jung's teachings remind us that self-discovery is both a psychological and deeply spiritual process through which we can uncover the shared divine threads that bind us all.